Rain pattered gently against the cracked windows of Brookwood High as the morning bell echoed through the halls. Students shuffled in, their chatter filling the air with gossip and laughter. Among them walked Elena Moore, her oversized gray hoodie pulled up to hide her face. Her sneakers were worn out, her jeans faded, and her backpack hung loosely from one strap. To most, she was invisible, a quiet, poor girl who didn't belong. "Hey, Elena, nice shoes," sneered Tricia, the school's self-proclaimed queen bee, her manicured finger pointing at Elena's scuffed soles. The hallway erupted in laughter. Elena said nothing. She simply kept walking, her dark eyes calm, almost unreadable. Maybe she found them in a dumpster. Another girl, Bella, added with a smirk. The group laughed harder, their cruel amusement echoing down the corridor. If only they knew. Elena's last name, Moore, was just a shadow of her true identity. To them, she was a nobody, a scholarship student scraping by. But in truth, she was Elena Armitage Moore, the only heir to the Armitage global empire, a multi-billion-dollar conglomerate known for its technology, hotels, and fashion lines. Her father, Charles Armitage, was one of the wealthiest men in the world. But after her mother's death 2 years ago, Elena had begged to live a normal life, to know who she was without the gold-plated cage of privilege. Her father reluctantly agreed, sending her to Brookwood under her mother's maiden name. As Tricia's laughter faded behind her, Elena's lips curled into a faint, knowing smile. She could buy the entire school if she wanted to, but she didn't need to prove anything. Not yet. Later that day, in art class, Elena quietly set up her canvas. The students around her whispered and giggled, already expecting her to fail. The topic was dreams and reality. Most students lazily brushed colors onto paper. Elena, however, moved with calm precision, her hand steady, her focus intense. When the bell rang, she stepped back. The room fell silent. Her painting showed a girl in rags staring into a cracked mirror, and in the reflection, a dazzling princess stood, crowned and radiant. It was hauntingly beautiful. Mr. Riley, the art teacher, blinked in awe. "Elena, this is extraordinary." Tricia rolled her eyes. "Come on, it's just a coincidence." She probably traced it from Pinterest. But when the painting was posted on the school's art page later that evening, it went viral within hours. Everyone was talking about the mysterious poor girl with the soul of an artist. The next morning, Elena arrived at school to find her locker covered in sticky notes, some praising her, others mocking her fame. "So, the charity case thinks she's famous now," Tricia sneered, blocking her path. "You think painting makes you special? You'll still end up cleaning floors while the rest of us live real lives." Elena met her gaze, her tone cool and controlled. "You shouldn't underestimate people. Tricia, life changes faster than you think." Before Tricia could respond, a deep voice cut through the hall. "Miss Moore?" Everyone turned. Standing at the entrance was Mr. Kensington, the school principal, flanked by 2 men in dark suits. "You have visitors," he said respectfully. The girls snickered until one of the suited men stepped forward, his earpiece visible, his badge gleaming with the Armitage crest. Tricia froze. "Elena Armitage Moore," the man said formally, bowing slightly. "Your father has requested your presence. The helicopter is waiting." The hallway fell deathly silent. Every eye turned to Elena. The poor girl, the bullied outcast, was the daughter of a billionaire. Elena lifted her hood, revealing her striking blue-gray eyes, the same ones that had graced countless magazine covers beside her father's empire. She looked directly at Tricia, her voice smooth as silk. "Looks like my ride's here." As she walked past the stunned crowd, whispers erupted like wildfire. Cameras flashed, mouths hung open. But Elena didn't glance back. Her secret was out, and this was only the beginning. That evening, social media exploded. Hashtag Elena Armitage trended worldwide. News outlets ran stories about the hidden heiress who lived among ordinary students. Her painting from class was displayed at the Armitage Foundation's charity gala, where her father proudly introduced her to the world. But while the lights flashed and the world buzzed with fascination, Elena's mind wasn't at peace. Because somewhere deep down, she knew this exposure would awaken old enemies. People had been waiting for the Armitage heir to resurface. And sure enough, across the city, a shadowed figure watched the news report from a dimly lit penthouse. A cold smile crossed his lips as he whispered, "So, the little Armitage princess finally returns. Time to finish what we started." Outside, thunder rolled. Elena had no idea that her return to the world of wealth would pull her into a storm far darker than schoolyard cruelty, a storm that could destroy everything she loved. The next morning, as she prepared for another day at Brookwood, her phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. "You can't hide behind your father forever. Elena, we remember what your family did." Her breath caught. The game had changed. Elena's fingers tightened around her phone, the glow of the message searing into her mind. She stared at it for a long moment, the morning light spilling through her window and glinting off the silver Armitage family crest pendant resting on her nightstand. Only her mother had worn that pendant before. It was the last memory she had of her, a symbol of love, protection, and power. Now it felt like a warning. She took a slow breath and typed a reply. But before she could hit send, the message disappeared. Vanished. Whoever sent it knew exactly how to leave no trace. "Not again," she whispered under her breath. Her reflection in the mirror looked almost like a stranger, flawless skin, the faint trace of sorrow behind her eyes, and that quiet strength her father always said she had inherited from her mother. She had wanted a simple life, to escape the shadows of boardrooms and backroom deals, but that world had found her again. When she arrived at Brookwood High, whispers followed her like a ripple through water. Students who once ignored her now watched her every move. Some smiled nervously. Others tried to act friendly, as though the last few months of mockery had never happened. Tricia, however, was nowhere to be seen. "Elena," Mr. Riley called as she entered the hallway. "I saw the news. My goodness, you never mentioned your family's connection to the Armitages." She offered a polite smile. "I didn't think it mattered." "Oh, it matters," he said, half in awe, half in disbelief. "We have journalists calling the school asking for interviews. You're famous." Elena nodded faintly, her mind still replaying the anonymous text. Fame was never what she wanted. What she feared most was exposure, the kind that drew not admiration but danger. In the corner of the hallway, Bella whispered to a friend, her tone dripping with envy, "I heard her dad owns half the city. Maybe she'll buy us new lockers." The laughter that followed was strained, almost guilty. Elena ignored it. She had learned long ago that silence could be sharper than words. As the day went on, her phone buzzed again, this time with a message from her father's assistant, Miles Trent. "Your father has increased security. 2 guards will be assigned to accompany you to and from school. Please don't argue this time." Elena sighed, tucking her phone into her pocket. The last thing she needed was more attention. But deep down, a flicker of unease grew stronger. If her father was sending protection, it meant he knew something she didn't. At lunch, she sat beneath the old oak tree behind the art room, the one quiet place left on campus. She was sketching the reflection of light through the leaves when a familiar voice broke the silence. "Mind if I sit?" It was Liam, the quiet transfer student who always kept to himself. He wasn't like the others. He never laughed at her, never asked questions about her family. He had a calm presence, a mystery that intrigued her. "Sure," she said softly. He sat beside her, his eyes glancing at her sketchbook. "You draw like someone who sees the world differently." "Maybe because I've seen too much of it," she replied before she could stop herself. He chuckled. Heavy words for lunchtime. Elena smiled faintly. For a moment, she almost forgot the fear pressing against her chest. But then, his next question caught her off guard. "So, how long do you plan on keeping the Armitage name hidden again?" Her pencil froze mid-stroke. "What did you say?" she asked quietly. Liam leaned back against a tree, his gaze unreadable. "You heard me. Don't worry, I'm not one of them. I just know things." Elena's pulse quickened. "Who are you, really?" He turned to look at her, his expression serious now. "Someone who owes your mother a debt." Her heart skipped. "You knew my mother?" Before he could answer, the bell rang and he stood, brushing off his jacket. "We'll talk later. Elena, just be careful." The people watching you aren't doing it for your protection. And then he was gone, disappearing into the crowd of students before she could stop him. That evening, Elena couldn't shake the memory of his words. Her mother had died in a car accident, or so she'd been told. But something about the way Liam said it, the way his tone carried quiet sorrow, made her wonder if there was more to the story. She sat on her bed, scrolling through old photographs on her tablet. Pictures of her mother's charity events, smiling beside political figures, scientists, and philanthropists. In one of the photos, a young man stood slightly behind her mother, his face half hidden by the camera flash. When Elena zoomed in, her breath caught. It was Liam. He looked the same. Not older, not younger. The same. Her heart pounded. The photo was dated 15 years ago. She closed the tablet with trembling hands. None of it made sense. A knock on the door startled her. "Come in," she said cautiously. It was Miles, her father's assistant. "Your father's waiting in the study. He says it's urgent." Elena followed him down the marble hallway of their penthouse. The city lights glittered beyond the glass walls, but the air felt heavy, charged with tension. Her father stood by the window, a glass of scotch in his hand, his expression unreadable. "Dad," she said, her voice quiet but steady. He turned, studying her face for a long moment. "You've been receiving messages." It wasn't a question. She nodded. "You know who sent them?" His jaw tightened. "Old enemies. The Armitage name comes with power, and power attracts threats. That's why I never wanted you exposed. Your mother's death was an accident. Elena, it was a warning." Her stomach dropped. "What are you saying?" He set the glass down, stepping closer. "The people who killed your mother are still out there. They want control of the Armitage Foundation. And now that you're public, they'll come for you next." Her world tilted. The walls seemed to close in. All this time, she had lived believing her mother's death was fate, an unfortunate tragedy. Now it felt like a blade hanging above her head. "Why didn't you tell me?" she whispered. "I was trying to protect you," he said, his voice breaking slightly. "But it's too late now. They've already made contact." She swallowed hard, her mind spinning. The mysterious message. Liam's warning. The photograph. None of it was coincidence. "I need to know everything," she said firmly. "Every name, every secret." Her father hesitated, then nodded slowly. "Tomorrow, I'll show you the files. But tonight, stay inside. Promise me." She agreed, though her mind was already elsewhere. When the house fell silent hours later, Elena slipped out of her room, her bare feet padding quietly against the marble floor. She made her way to her father's study, where the faint glow of a desk lamp still flickered. The safe behind his bookshelf was slightly ajar. He must have forgotten to lock it. Inside were thick folders marked confidential, and among them a photograph, not of her father, not of her mother, of Liam. The caption beneath read, "Project Seraph, Guardian Asset, Status, Classified." Her hands trembled. The same Liam who sat beside her under the oak tree, the one who said he owed her mother a debt, was part of a government-level file tied to her family's past. A faint sound made her turn sharply. Footsteps in the hallway. "Elena!" came a voice, low and urgent. It was Liam. He stood in the doorway, his face shadowed by the dim light. "You shouldn't be here. They're already inside the building." Her eyes widened. "Who?" He stepped closer, his tone darkening. "The people your father fears most." The lights flickered. Somewhere below, a door slammed, followed by the distant echo of boots on marble. Elena's pulse quickened as the night outside exploded into chaos. The lights dimmed, leaving only the low hum of the city beneath them. Elena's breath came fast, her back pressed against the cold oak shelves of her father's study. Downstairs, the rhythmic thud of boots grew louder, measured, deliberate, menacing. She could see the flicker of red security alarms reflecting in the polished glass walls. Liam stepped closer, his voice low but urgent. "They've breached the lower floors. We have minutes, maybe less." Her mind raced. "Who are they, Liam? Tell me what's happening." He met her gaze, his expression a mixture of regret and fierce protectiveness. "The same organization that destroyed your mother's life. The Sarah Consortium. They're not just after money or power. They want the Armitage biometric key, your inheritance. It's encoded in your DNA. Elena blinked, unable to breathe for a moment. My DNA? He nodded. Your mother helped design it. A system that could control every Armitage facility across the world. Whoever holds it can access global defense contracts, energy systems, private security networks. That's why your family was targeted. Your mother refused to weaponize it. Now they want you. A shiver ran down her spine. You said you owed her a debt. Why? Liam hesitated, the red lights casting a shadow over his face. Because she saved me. I was a prototype in that project, an artificial human enhanced with neural tech. Your mother saw me as more than an experiment. She gave me freedom, a name, a purpose, to protect you. Her lips parted in disbelief. You're not human? I was built to be more, he said softly. But I became human because of her. Before she could respond, a deafening crash shattered the silence. The study doors burst open, splintering under force. 3 masked figures stormed in, weapons raised, their movements military precise. Liam moved first, faster than her eyes could follow. He disarmed the first man with a single motion, twisting the gun away and sending him sprawling across the desk. Sparks flew as bullets hit the steel frames around them. Elena ducked behind the bookshelf, her heart hammering. Get her, one of the attackers shouted. A shot whizzed past her ear, striking a painting behind her. Liam was a blur of motion, striking, deflecting, disarming, but there were too many of them. One lunged toward Elena, grabbing her wrist. She gasped, struggling, her back hitting the glass window overlooking the city. Let her go. Liam roared, tackling the man into the floor. But as he did, another figure stepped from the shadows, tall, calm, cloaked in black. Enough, the man said, his voice rich with authority. Miss Armitage Moore, it's time we talked. Elena Froze, who are you? He pulled off his mask, revealing silver hair and sharp blue eyes. I'm Alexander Creed, your mother's former partner. The world thought she died by accident, but I know the truth. She betrayed me. She took the key, your DNA sequence, and hid it. Now you'll finish what she started. She was trying to stop you. Elena shouted, her voice shaking with fury. Stop me? He smiled coldly. She created me. She created us. Without her, none of this would exist. But she became weak, sentimental. You, however, are her perfect legacy. Liam stepped in front of her, his body tense. You'll have to go through me. Creed's eyes narrowed. Still loyal to your maker, I see. How poetic. With a flick of his wrist, he activated a pulse weapon. A high-pitched hum filled the air, and Liam staggered, his body flickering with faint blue light. Liam, Elena Creed. I'm fine, he gritted, forcing himself upright. Go, get to the helipad. She hesitated. I'm not leaving you. He looked at her, his expression softening despite the chaos. Your mother once told me, if I ever met you, I'd know why she believed humanity was worth saving. Don't let her sacrifice die with me. Tears welled in her eyes, but before she could answer, Creed raised his weapon again. The pulse exploded through the room, sending Liam crashing into the glass wall. Cracks spiderwebbed across it as he fell to one knee. Elena's grief turned to fire. She turned toward the safe, yanked open the remaining folders, and grabbed a small metallic disc marked Sarah Protocol Override. Creed stepped forward, but she was faster. Looking for this? She said, holding the disc up. You'll never control my mother's creation. Creed laughed softly. And you think you can stop me, little heiress? Elena pressed a thumb to the disc. The embedded scanner flared blue, reading her biometric code. Access granted. A mechanical voice announced. Override initiated. Lockdown in 60 seconds. Creed's smile vanished. What have you done? Ended this, she said, her voice calm but trembling. The building systems roared to life, door ceiling lights flashing. Liam, bleeding but standing, reached for her hand. We have to go, now. They raced through the corridor as the alarms blared. Creed shouted behind them, firing wildly, but the steel barriers began closing, cutting him off. The two burst onto the rooftop, the wind tearing through the night. The helipad glowed with blue lights, and the helicopter blades spun furiously. Elena turned to Liam, gripping his arm. "You're coming with me." He shook his head, faint sparks flickering beneath his skin. "The pulse damaged my system. I can't make it past the perimeter field. But you can." "No," she said, tears streaming down her face. "I won't leave you to die." He smiled faintly, brushing a tear from her cheek. "You're your mother's daughter, brave, stubborn, extraordinary." He pressed something into her hand, a small, silver pendant shaped like wings. "She wanted you to have this. It's a final encryption key. Protect it. Live." "Liam." Before she could finish, he turned back toward the rooftop doors. Creed had broken through, stumbling onto the pad, rage twisting his face. Liam faced him, his body pulsing with unstable energy. "Goodbye, Creed." And then, with one final surge, he charged, tackling Creed back in the building just as the system's failsafe detonated. The explosion lit the night sky in a cascade of silver and blue, the shockwave rippling across the city. Elena was thrown backward, the helicopter's guards pulling her inside as flames engulfed the rooftop. She screamed Liam's name, her heart shattering as the craft lifted into clouds. From above, the Armitage Tower burned like a beacon against the dark horizon, a tower of fire and memory. Days later, the world called it an act of heroism. The news hailed Elena Armitage as the girl who stopped the consortium. Her painting, the one of the ragged girl facing her reflection, was displayed in the National Museum, a symbol of identity, resilience, and hidden strength. But Elena knew the truth. Her mother's secrets still lived in the pendant around her neck. And Liam's last words echoed in her heart. She stood at the edge of her father's estate, overlooking the ocean, the wind tugging at her hair. For the first time, she felt both the weight and freedom of her name. The world knew who she was now, but they didn't know what she was about to become. As the sun dipped below the horizon, her phone buzzed, a message from an unknown number. "The Sarah Consortium isn't gone. We're rebuilding. And you, Elena, you are the key." Her grip tightened around the pendant. She looked up at the darkening sky, her eyes fierce, unyielding. The war wasn't over. It was just beginning.